Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we will learn about secondary overhead distribution summary. We have completed primary distribution of overheads. Here what we will do, all overhead costs are allocated or apportioned to both production and service departments. In primary distribution of overheads, we will allocate the overheads to both production and service department. So our next step is secondary distribution. So what exactly is secondary distribution? Let's see what is secondary distribution. The distribution of service department expenses to various production departments. In primary distribution, overhead cost that is allocated to both production and service department, but in secondary distribution we will distribute service department expenses to the various production departments. On which basis? On some equitable basis or on the basis of percentage of service rendered, that is they will give in the problem. They will mention whether on some equitable basis or on the basis of percentage of services rendered. That is called secondary overhead distribution summary. Clear? See, once the overheads are allocated and apportioned to all the departments, means both production and service. In the primary distribution stage, the next step is to reapportion. Reapportion the which cost? Service department cost to the production departments, right? So this process is called secondary overhead distribution. Here, production department, it means what? They are directly involved in manufacturing the product, right? But the service departments like a maintenance, canteen, powerhouse, etc., they support the production process but do not produce the goods directly. So their cost we need to be distributed to the production department. That is what secondary overhead distribution summary. This production department, they are directly involved in the manufacturing of the product, but service departments, they support the production process but do not produce the goods directly. So this is the reason we need to apportion, or that is reapportion their cost to the production department. Clear? I hope this is clear to you all. Now most common methods that is used for secondary distribution, they are repeated distribution method and simultaneous equation method. So let's see first one, that is repeated distribution method. In repeated distribution method, it means what? It means this method is used when service departments render services to each other. When we will use the repeated distribution method? When service department renders services to each other. It means what? See here. Suppose, for example, service department A, it provides 20% of its service to the service department B. Service department B. Clear? Service department A, it provides 20% of its service to department B. That is also service department. And this service department B, it provides 10% of its service back to service department A. It means what? Service departments render services to each other. Service departments render services to each other. So here we use a repeated distribution method to fairly and fully distribute their overheads to the production department. Clear? When the service departments render services to each other, in this example, service department A, it provides services to department B of 20%. And service department B also provides 10% of service to department A. In this case, we will use a repeated distribution method. Clear? Now, see why it called repeated. Why it's called repeated? Here, because the process of distributing service department cost is repeated again and again between service and production departments until all service departments costs are fully transferred. That is, their balance becomes zero or negligible. It means what here? Why it is called repeated means here we will means service department they will allocate their expenses to the production departments until their balance becomes zero or negligible. That's why we'll call this process as a repeated distribution method. Clear? So I will explain this repeated distribution method through one example. See, a factory, it has 3 production departments and 2 service departments. 3 production and 2 service departments, right? The overhead departmental distribution summary shows the following. Production department, that is ABC, their overheads or expenses 1375 for A and 1330 for B and 1710 for C. And service department's expenses or overhead, X is the service department. The overhead is rupees 4250 and for Y 5250. Now the expenses of service departments X and Y, expenses of service departments X and Y are to be apportioned as follows. Here X for A 20%, 30%, 40 and for Y 10%. It means what? So in our problem, service department X, it provides 20% of its service to department A and 30% of service to department B and 40% of its service to department C and 10% of its service to Y. And again, department Y, it provides 40% of its service to A and 20% of its service to B, 20% of service to C and 20% of service to X. Clear? Now show how the service department overheads are to be distributed to production department under a repeated distribution method. See, in our example here, X, it gives 10% of its cost to Y. It provides 10% of its service to Y. And Y, it gives 20% of its cost back to X. Right? They mutually provide service to each other. That's why we apply repeated distribution method. Clear? So let's solve the problem. Write down overhead distribution summary. This is the format of overhead distribution summary, that is repeated distribution method. See particulars, production department A, B, C and service department X and Y. First what we have to write? First we need to write total as per primary summary, that is overheads or expenses, that is for A, B, C and X and Y, they are the service department. Now what we have to do? First we distribute department X overhead, that is rupees 4250. Listen very carefully. First what we have to do? First we need to write down the overheads as per the primary summary. After that we distribute department X overhead, that is rupees 4250 to A, B, C and service department Y according to the given ratio. So the ratio is, see here, X department, it provides 20%, 30%, 40% to C department and 10% to Y department, means 2:3:4:1. Or you can calculate like this also, 4250 into 20% into 30 into 40 into 10%. In that way also we can calculate. Clear? So 4250 department X. Write down department X or overhead distribution of department X, that is rupees 4250. Ratio is 2:3:4:1. Clear? 4250 into 2 divided by 10. You know this, right? That is rupees 850. 850. Department A 850 and Department B 1275 and Department C 1700 and for Y it's 425, that is 4250 into 1 divided by 10, that is 425. Clear? In this way we need to distribute the service department X overheads to all other departments. Clear? Now Department X, it distribute rupees 4250 to all the departments. Clear? Now what we have to do? See the total. Now X department's overhead, that is 0 or nil, right? Now Y department expenses 5250 plus 425, that is 5675. Write down here 5675. In secondary distribution, what we will do? We will reapportion only service department expenses. Clear? Don't get confused. Now X department is over, right? Now again we need to distribute department Y's overhead, that is 5675 on the basis of given ratio, that is, see this one, 40%, 20, 20 and 20%. It means 4:2:2:2. So write down Department Y 4:2:2:2, 10. So 5675 into 4 divided by 10, that is 2270. For B 1135. C also same ratio, right? 2:2:1135. For X also 1135. And here Y department, it allocate or distributed all its overhead, that is 5675. Now again total it. Here 1135 and here it is nil, 0, because Y department allocated all its expenses. Now see the X department. Now X department expenses are 1135, right? Now what we have to do? We need to reapportion, or again we need to redistribute this 1135 to all other departments, production and service department Y. Clear? On the basis of 2:3:4:1. So write down Department X 2:3:4:1. Clear? So see here 1135, right? 1135 into 2 divided by 10, that is 227. 227, 341, 454 and here 113. 113, that is, yes, 1135 to 1 divided by 10, 113, right? Now here, now X department redistributed all its expenses, that is 1135. Again total it, only service department, that is here it is nil, X department, and Y 113. Now again we need to redistribute Y department's expenses. Department Y on the basis of, see here, 4:2:2:2. 4:2:2:2. So 113 to 4 divided by 10, that is 45. 45, 23, 23, Here take it as 22. Then the total becomes 113. Here we need to adjust. Clear? 22. Here Y department allocated redistributed all its expenses. Now again total it. 22 and here 0. This process we need to till the service department expenses becomes 0 or negligible. Clear? Now again redistribute department X overhead, that is 20 rupees 22. So department X on the basis of 2:3:4:1. 22 into 2 divided by 10, that is 4.4. Write down 4, 7, 9 and here 2 only. 22 into 1 divided by 10, 2. Right? Here now X department it redistributed all its overheads. Now again total it. Here 0 X department and here Y department overhead is rupees 2. Rupees 2. 1 minute. Rupees 2. Now we need to redistribute Y department wise overheads. So write down department Y. The given ratio is 4:2:2:2:2. So 2 into 4 divided by 10, that is 0.8. See 0.8, 0.4, 0.4 and 0.4. Here 2. Means here we redistributed department wise overheads. Here see, in this case this 0.4, this is negligible amount, right? Here we need not to write 0.4 in the service department X. Here also we need not to write. Clear? Now service department total becomes here 0.4 or nil. Here also it's nil. Right? See here. Here we have finished our problem because these all are negligible amounts. Here Y department's total anyways is 0, right? And X department total, that is 0.4 or 0. Here we have finished our problem because here repeated distribution method, what it says, the process of distributing service department cost is repeated again and again between service and production departments until all service department costs are fully transferred. That is, their balance becomes 0 or negligible. See this 0.4, this is negligible amount, right? Or we can take it as 0. Need not to write here anything. Now we have to total all the production departments overheads. Clear? So first one, production department A, 1375, 850, 2270, 227, 45, 4.8. That is 4772. Next production B department, production department B, 1275, 1135, 341, 23, 7.4. That is 4111. Department C, 1710, 1700, 1135, 454, 23, 9.4. That is 5031. And service department, that is 0.4 or nil. And department Y, that is also nil. Clear? This is what repeated distribution method. Here the service department overheads, we need to redistribute until the balance of service departments becomes 0 or negligible. This method is very simple, right? In this way we need to solve the problem under repeated distribution method. I hope this problem is clear to you all. So in the next class we will learn about simultaneous equation method. Okay, I hope this class is clear to you all. If not, please leave a comment. Thank you.